From EPAWA Weather Consulting, headquartered in Worth Whitehall, Pennsylvania, this is Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The thoughts and opinions expressed in this video are those of the forecaster alone and may not reflect those of the staff of EPAWA Weather Consulting LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Now, without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrich with Weather Weeklies.
Good Sunday morning to another edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, January 24th. We have a lot to cover in the video here, not only with the long range like we always do, but we're also going to talk about some shorter-term threats. I wouldn't get too excited about this Monday night through Tuesday night deal, though, because the trend has been over the weekend here to make this a more weak and sheared-out wave. And the amount of snow that's involved with this, freezing rain and sleet, has tremendously declined. So, a lot of people are asking us, why aren't you? I actually have a ton of emails about this, which I don't really understand. But it's not about being first with these maps and stuff that we're gonna have some maps out today. But people are asking us, where's your maps at? Where's the snow map? Where's the freezing rain maps? Whatever. Mostly snow maps. That's mostly what people care about. I'm not. If I put something out yesterday or Friday, that would have been tremendously bad because we're still monitoring trends at this point, and now we're to the point where we can start releasing maps. And if we would have done it a couple days ago, we'd have looked really stupid this morning, like some sources are, because they put it out too early. This is not something that you want to be first with. This is about being right. So we're going to do those maps today and have that out on the Weather Alerts page sometime this afternoon. I'll try not to get it too late because I know it's championship day. Everybody's wanting to watch football, including myself. But, we have some obligations to the weather as far as our paid clients with the forum and the alerts we have to send out. So once we have that done, we will send out the maps publicly, and it'll have a snow and an ice map we'll have today for that particular event. First, we're going to start off with, we are going to talk about that in this video. We're going to start off like we always do with the long range here. And this slightly below average period here that we're expecting, this is not brutally cold like we've been mentioning for some time now. And it is time limited. So we're looking about a week here through about just before the end of January. Then we turn to a near to slightly above average period for a couple days in the first couple days of February. After that, we are slightly above average largely through about the middle of the month or maybe just after that. I think it's more trends recently since I did this on Friday. Looks like about the middle of the month is what we're targeting for a return to, at least near average, if not slightly below. So we have that here at the end of the outlook, but this is going to be predicated on a couple things. MJO propagation, the Madden-Julian oscillation, where it propagates, how quickly it propagates from the warmer phases to more favorable cooler phases, and there are some indications that that's going to occur, and we might even have some stratospheric help, although I don't want to hang my hat on that one because we had the first one that we expected to do a certain thing, and it really didn't. I'll show you that in the video here too. But here's it's listed as a winter storm. This is going to be a nuisance event, folks. It is what it is. We will see some snow out of that. We'll see some icing out of that. I'll show you where here in a second. And again, we'll have maps out for that. But just don't think we're getting a big event out of this. We're just not. It's more of a nuisance type event here. That's going to go from Monday night through Tuesday evening at least. Okay, but it's going to be a long drawn out thing. More intermittent light stuff. It's really not a big deal. We have the storm signal here listed on the 28th, which is Thursday. That is still there. Not really overly thrilled about this, and I even said that here in the discussion. If you read the discussion here, and the confidence level of this was moderately low, and the reason is because there's a lot of guidance that's suggesting this will end up being further south. The GFS is most enthused with that. We'll get into that in a second too. There are additional signals in here, but this is at a time when it's starting to warm. In this period here, we're starting to get a little bit warmer, so you might have like a situation here where this 31st system here, there could be a snow on the front end, changing to ice, and then rain type deal. And this one here, this is just this last storm signal here, the 4th, 5th is still there too, but that looks a little bit too warm. That's coming in this period here, we're slightly above average. So, for all intents and purposes, really the next two have the best chance of producing a snow event. But again, the first one's going to be minor. Second one, we'll see if it makes it this far north. At least our southern areas have to watch out for that. And the third one might be an overrunning snow to, sleet, freezing rain, and then rain, as it looks right now. Our January temperatures will finish generally between +2 and +4, so they're higher than that now, but because of this slightly below average week, it'll lower a little bit into this range. And our snowfall for the month will be near to slightly below average. But we're going for near average here in February so far. Again, with this slightly above average period for the first half of the month, we'll see what the second half of the month does. They can still produce some snow events, and we get more favorable patterns going forward. It will certainly produce snow. This is not winter is over, and this is our only chance. This is not that at all. But here is that slightly below average period that we talked about, going through about the 30th, 34th, 31st, something like that, and then we start to moderate near to slightly above up in here, and then we are slightly above average after that point. This is not going to be just a deluge of upper 40s and 50s here, okay? You might have a few days where it spikes here to coincide with a storm signal here around the 4th and 5th, but then you're going to be this is still slightly above average right here. Barely, but it is, okay? So when you go out, there's going to be ups and downs here in this period going through the middle of February. It's not going to be a constant, like this 46 that showed up here on February 5th to coincide with that storm signal. It doesn't mean we're going to have temperatures that warm that entire time, but you will have over that whole week that we listed, you're going to have slightly above average temperatures mixed in there. So just keep that in mind. It's not going to be a blowtorch necessarily, but this is too warm for snow. All right, here is what average snowfall is expected to be for January and February. And again, once we get into next week, I'm going to change these next weeks to what's expected for February and March instead. But this is what normal is for the month. So we're not going to hit these numbers here in January. We have very minimal snow, in some places nothing. In January, you're going to get some very weak events here coming into, with this next system Monday and Tuesday. Maybe the southern areas getting in on some of that. So the Atlantic City, you might get something out of this finally. If that Thursday storm comes farther up north, I really don't think you get too much from this first one, maybe a little bit. But right now here in Atlantic City, you're sitting at trace amounts. You see this is the snow thus far and where you should be through the 23rd, which was yesterday. And you see some of these are turning red now because they are below pace. Barely so, but they are. Philadelphia 6.6, that came from one storm. You should be 8.1 right now, so you're a little bit behind. Allentown is still ahead, but not by much, okay? So they're still in the green. Harrisburg, again, they're a 1/10 of an inch of snow off. They're pretty close to average. Same thing here in Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, 2/10 of an inch off of average, but still technically behind pace. Newark is still ahead by a little bit. Atlantic City is still sitting at a trace, and you should be at 6.9 inches year to date. So here's the upcoming event Monday to Tuesday. This is the NAM 3 kilometer I'm putting in motion here. So this is going to come in around midnight on Monday night. This first wave will be a heavier burst, and then it's going to fall apart as it moves eastward or northeastward. And as that warm front, I'm going to stop this. There's going to be a warm front associated with this that's going to set up, and north of that warm front boundary. If I can get this to load here, here we go. North of that warm front boundary, which is expected by the NAM to be right about here, you remain light snow, but this is all light intermittent snow. This is very light stuff, very snow showery, okay? Even further south, it's very light stuff too, but this is on this side of the warm front, so therefore you get some sleet and some light freezing rain. This is not a lot in either department of snow or ice, okay? But this is a long drawn-out event that's going to go straight through Tuesday night, and this continues. If I can get this to continue forward here, you can see very light intermittent stuff here, and then you get another, maybe a little shot here at the end here of snow for the northern areas that goes into Tuesday evening, or maybe part of the overnight, and that's it. So if we're looking at total snowfall here on the NAM that ran this morning, this is it. This all comes with that initial burst that I showed you in the beginning of that loop there. But then as it moves northward, it kind of falls apart, and then you have some intermittent light stuff continuing throughout the day, during the day on Tuesday evening, Tuesday night, and this is all you get, kind of like maybe a 1 to 3 up here, okay? Maybe a coating to an inch or two down here for that initial burst as that moves northeast and gets to places like, the Poconos, Lehigh Valley, north central PA on Tuesday morning. It's going to be very light, and you're not going to have much out of that. It's really the second batch that comes in, later Tuesday evening in the overnight, and you end up with this 1 to 3 up here. But there's a dry slot, not a dry slot necessarily, but this is going to be changing over to light freezing rain here, and you really don't benefit from that first wave coming in. So these areas in the middle here, southeast PA, I know you're going to love me here, but hey, it is what it is. Over to central Jersey here, you really don't get too much. Again, you might have minor accumulations here in Atlantic City before this, with this initial batch, but to get you above trace amounts like you're at right now, but you're not going to see too much. So don't expect too much in terms of snow from this. You're just not going to have it. It's a very weak, sheared out wave, and that's the trend we've been going to over the last couple of days. As far as icing, very minimal also. There's a couple tenths here of sleet and a couple hundredths of an inch here of freezing rain. Don't expect too much of either. This is just light intermittent stuff during the day on Tuesday that's going to give you just some very light stuff. So any snow you get in Harrisburg, Lancaster, places like that, York, places like that will be from the initial band, not the second one. The second one is going to affect these areas further north, and that's why you see this spread, this gap in between, because the second part's only going to affect these areas right in here, not down here. Okay, so whatever you get down here is from that initial push of precipitation that's going to come in around midnight or so on Monday night. And again, this is going to go through the night on Tuesday night, and then after that, you just have the sleet freezing rain further south. Again, we're going to have a map out for both, for ice and snow, but just don't expect too much from that. This Thursday snowstorm I want to talk about here, because the GFS is still suggesting that this is going to affect at least our southern half of our areas here with some accumulating snow. This would be good news for places far south that really haven't had too much this winter. From Philadelphia, southern New Jersey, and Delaware, maybe far southern PA. If this were correct, the GFS ensembles are enthused with this as well, and has a pretty good swath of snow here in those particular areas. It is bullseyeing those areas here, but it looks like it gets it pretty far north here on the GFS ensembles. However, this doesn't have a lot of support. GFS is on its own with this idea. It's not to say it's wrong necessarily, but it doesn't have support right now. If you look at the European ensemble and the Canadian ensemble, I can show you that too. This is just the European. Canadian looks just like this, and it's further south. Now, you do get some fringe impacts on the northwest side here across Delaware, parts of Maryland, and southern New Jersey, but further north, it really gets cut off. Okay, so we have to wait and see how that works out. And it's going to be largely predicated on this first system and what it does. And I'm showing you the height field here because this is a weaker system, weaker sheared out system, this Monday-Tuesday deal. It's not really doing anything to the height field behind that in the wake of this system. As it pulls away, oops, let me go back. As this pulls away, the height field really doesn't lower until this storm gets involved here that comes in here on Thursday. So if you had a stronger wave here, these heights that are shown here, these are 500 millibar heights, they would be lowered as this storm got stronger, and as it pulled away, in the wake of it, the heights would lower. And what that does, it would send this storm here further south because of that lowered height field. But because it's weaker and sheared out, there's a chance, at least, that the GFS might be right, or the GFS ensembles might be right, in the fact that it brings it further north because the height field's not as low. So that's the concept of that. So one kind of sets up the other. And if you are cheering on snow and I said this on Twitter yesterday, if you're cheering on a snowstorm Thursday, if you live in one of these southern areas here, I wouldn't get excited at all if you lived up here in like Wilkes-Barre or Williamsport. But if you live down here in the Philadelphia metro, you're going to get shafted from this first one. Cheer on the weak, sheared out wave idea, which is for Monday night and through the day on Tuesday. Because if you do, you have a better shot at this second one. It's a little bit stronger. It lowers the height field behind it in the wake of the first storm, and the second one will be shunted further south. So that's the idea. So that's where your disagreement lies right now. There's some other things going into it, but that's the general idea. Here's that storm signal around the 31st, and again, right now, this is probably a pretty good idea here. You have a little bit of antecedent cold air that's left over from our cold periods here. So this comes in. It's an overrunning event. But then it starts off as snow, goes over to ice, and then goes over to rain. This is probably a more realistic situation, and I said that in the long-range outlook that I wrote on Friday. It's the same thing. As you're going further in time, your pattern's less favorable, so this is going to be a little iffy in terms of precipitation types, and this is for that 31st to February 1st time frame. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that, but it looks like a transition. And then once we get to the latter signal around the 4th and 5th, which I don't have an image of here, it looks like it's mostly rain event because we're in that period where we're talking about temperatures well into the 40s. So you're probably not getting snow in that situation there. Now, as far as our longer range signals, this is looking at the Madden-Julian Oscillation, and this goes through February 7th. So right now we're kind of like up here in this in the Phase 6 area. We're going to hang out there for about the next week, and you see Phase 6 is supporting a warmer look here. Now, there's a lag time here for the effects of the Madden-Julian Oscillation to affect our region. This will affect us during the first week of February, at least in the second half of the week. This will finally look like this, and we'll have these warmer temperatures. That's what we're projecting, and as a result of this tropical forcing. But then it moves into, in early February, moves into Phase 7. It's still a mild look, but it's not as mild. So you're going to have, you're going to have some ups and downs there, favoring the milder side of the average, but it's not as extreme as Phase 6 is. Okay, so we're moving into Phase 7, and just about everything has that. The question is, beyond this point, what do we do? So phase here on February 7th, you're sitting right here on the GFS ensemble, or the European ensemble. The GFS ensemble has it up here somewhere. Either way, it's in phase 7. But there are occasions with these spaghetti plots that might continue into phase 8. And phase 8, of course, is a much better signal for us. So you could get, that's one way you can get the cold air here once you get past the middle of the month. Again, there's a lag. This goes, to February 7th. If you took this out to a week after that, week to 10 days after that, when the Madden-Julian Oscillation waves, the Kelvin waves in the Pacific will, start affecting our sensible weather, that takes you right around the middle of the month or so. So there could be some changes related to the Madden-Julian Oscillation at that time. There also could be stratospheric changes that could help late month as well. Now, this is the first event that we had, and this is the one that occurred on January 5th. So I'm just showing this image from last week just to illustrate a point. We had two primary barotropic lobes. One was sitting here over Europe, and one was over China, Eastern Russia, Mongolia area. All right. Nothing, as you can see, took place here over the North American continent. That's a cute little smiley face there. Wasn't trying to do that, but the idea here is that there was really no help to the North American continent. With the second projected one on the that is going to be the second warming event that is expected, that is going to be taking place here right around the end of this month, early February. Again, there's a lag time from about 2 weeks or maybe 14 to 20 days to start affecting our sensible weather. This one here is now indicating that instead of being over Europe, we have the primary barotropic low will be out here in the Eastern Pacific, the Eastern Asia region. But you have another one that's sitting right here. Okay, so this could help some things here. You notice there's nothing here over Europe this time. If this were right, and we just don't know, I'm not going to sit here and speculate. If this is right, this could help our second half of February and early March period. All right, so we'll keep an eye on this. Something just to follow. Don't get excited about it, and don't say, oh, EPAWA is expecting a stratospheric vortex to warm it. Well, I do expect that to happen, but they're expecting we're going to get cold and snowy and end of day stuff. They just relax with that stuff. This is highly variable, and there's no guarantees that this propagates downward through the troposphere where we live to affect our sensible weather just yet either. We'll see. This has a better chance than the first one though, and combined with other things like we were talking about with the tropical forcing. We'll go back to that. If this continues into phase 8, this is still a wait-and-see thing too. That could help us even without stratospheric help. So there's a lot of things that are kind of pointing in that direction. Some of the longer-term climate models are suggesting that we're heading in that direction as well. But just don't think that this is, okay, well, it's going to turn warm here in February, so winter's over after this week, and we're not getting much to begin with, so that's it. Well, not necessarily. Could that be the case? Yes, of course, but I don't think so. I think we have more shots here at the end of February and maybe into early March before we turn the corner finally. But this is not winter's over after this week, I don't think. We'll have to see what this stratospheric warming does, see what the Madden-Julian Oscillation does, and we'll go from there. We'll take it one little bit at a time. But again, we have some minor events here in there, at least on the Monday and Tuesday time frame. We're still going to watch Thursday. We're going to watch that next signal that we have listed in the long-range outlook for the 31st, February 1st time frame. But the further out you get in time into February, the first week of February, they're going to be more iffy marginal precipitation types, maybe starting off with snow, going over to something else. So our best shot is going to be with obviously the first one, which is going to be minor. The second one here on the 28th, we'll see how far north that comes. It's just something we have to follow over the next week or so. So to summarize, we have a colder than average period that lasts through the end of January, and then mild to begin February. Okay, so we're going to have that mild period, and it's going to last probably through mid-month at least. And then we're watching a few wintry events this week, a nuisance event Monday night and a Tuesday night, then again Thursday, although the latter is less certain because we don't know how far north that is going to come. Is it like the GFS suggests? Is this weaker sheared out system the reason why we don't have the lowered heights behind the first wave that allows us to come a little bit further north? We don't know that yet, but we're going to follow it, okay? Again, the European ensemble and the Canadian ensembles are not in agreement with the GFS right now. So my bets are hedged on no, except for maybe some fringe impacts on the northwest side for like Delaware, southern New Jersey, parts of Maryland. But I can't write it off. So we'll see. This is what we do. We follow these trends and see where we go. And it can certainly affect the region, more of the region. So we'll just wait and see. Monitoring the stratosphere and the Madden-Julian Oscillation for sensible weather changes further into February. Of course, this is less certain because the further out in time you go, the less, a little more foggy it gets. And we don't know that the Madden-Julian Oscillation is going to continue into phase 8, which is a favorable signal for cold. We don't know that the stratospheric warming episode expected at the end of the month is going to benefit North America like the first one didn't. We just don't know yet. So we're going probability based in these outlooks, and the probability says we will turn colder later February into early March. So we're going to keep that forecast for now. If we have to adjust that, we will. But just continue to follow these over these outlooks. I'll give you the updated information on this with every new video that I do every Sunday. If we have to make changes, we will. But just continue to follow us every Sunday, and we will let you know what those changes are, if any. That's this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, January 24th. Join us again next week, the 31st. We will start talking more about February, March now, going forward in the rest of winter. I'll give you an update on that stratospheric situation and the Madden-Julian oscillation propagation, see how long our warm period is going to be. We'll have better answers as we go forward in time. So join us again next week, and I'll give you the latest information that I have at that time. Take care.